Jordan Peterson is widely known for his groundbreaking thoughts on self-improvement, particularly through his famous works like 12 Rules for Life. His ideas about meaning, responsibility, and discipline have transformed the way millions of people approach their lives. Yet, as much as we hear about his teachings, there's a deeper layer to his philosophy that many either overlook or simply don't talk about on social media. These are the quiet, more nuanced aspects of his self-development ideas, some that he doesn't explicitly emphasize in his speeches, interviews, or books. In this video, we'll dive into the unspoken, often understated aspects of Peterson's approach to personal growth. These are the hidden gems that have the potential to change your life, but you won't find them trending on social media or splashed across book covers. So let's take a closer look at what these revolutionary ideas are and why they're so impactful. The role of suffering in self-development. Jordan Peterson is known for his famous quote, "Suffering is a part of life." This idea is explored deeply in his works, but there's a much subtler nuance that he rarely goes into explicitly. Peterson doesn't just talk about suffering as a philosophical concept, he emphasizes its role in shaping you. In fact, suffering is central to his idea of development. But here's the twist. Peterson isn't just talking about enduring hardship, but actually seeking out challenges and pushing your limits. Most self-help content on social media focuses on positive thinking, quick hacks, and the idealistic version of success. Peterson, however, presents suffering as an integral part of the human experience. It's something you should embrace because it is in overcoming obstacles and facing adversity that you truly grow. This doesn't mean you should go looking for misery, but rather that you should not shy away from the discomfort that accompanies growth. In fact, it is through these difficult moments that you learn resilience, develop grit, and acquire a sense of competence in your own abilities. While the surface-level teachings about discipline and responsibility are important, Peterson's hidden idea is that the avoidance of suffering actually prevents you from growing. On a deeper level, he suggests that you should actively confront and lean into discomfort in order to evolve. The necessity of personal chaos for true change. Peterson talks about chaos and order frequently, but again, there's a deeper layer to his thoughts that isn't widely discussed. On the surface, chaos is often viewed as something to avoid or minimize. But Peterson suggests that personal chaos is not only inevitable, but essential for change. It is the chaos in your life, the uncertainty, the instability that acts as the catalyst for growth. Think of the moments in your life when everything felt out of control. A personal crisis, a period of failure, or a challenge you had no idea how to overcome. While social media often promotes the quick fix, Peterson argues that real transformation often comes from these chaotic, disruptive events. They force you to confront who you are at your core and push you to reorganize and restructure your life from the ground up. The problem arises when people try to avoid these chaotic experiences at all costs, clinging to their comfort zones and playing it safe. Peterson's idea here is not just to tolerate chaos, but to learn from it. Personal growth doesn't happen in the absence of struggle. It happens when you willingly walk into the storm and allow it to shape you. The power of contemplation and silence. In today's hyper-connected world, we're often bombarded with endless streams of information, all vying for our attention. We've lost touch with the power of silence and contemplation. Peterson touches on this concept, but rarely does he delve deeply into it. The reality is that true self-development comes not just from constant action, but from moments of quiet introspection. This is one of Peterson's more understated pieces of advice. Learn to be comfortable with silence. When you take time for deep thinking, away from distractions, you engage in the kind of contemplation that leads to profound insights. In silence, your mind can process complex emotions, make sense of your experiences, and develop new ideas. In fact, some of Peterson's most profound ideas emerged from moments of quiet reflection, when he was alone with his thoughts, away from the noise of the world. Yet in the fast-paced world of social media, the idea of silence feels almost counterproductive. Everything is about speed, productivity, and noise. But Peterson's more hidden idea is that without periods of quiet and stillness, true insight is nearly impossible. This is not a concept you often hear discussed in popular culture, but it is a cornerstone of Peterson's philosophy. The importance of engaging with tragedy and loss. Another hidden gem of Jordan Peterson's self-development philosophy lies in his acknowledgement of the tragic nature of existence. Many self-help gurus focus on the positive, encouraging their followers to visualize success and happiness. Peterson, however, acknowledges the inevitability of tragedy and loss. In fact, he believes that your ability to engage with these darker aspects of life is essential to your growth. Peterson's not promoting pessimism, but he's clear that the best way to navigate life's inevitable losses is to confront them head-on. This might sound counterintuitive in the world of social media, where people often hide their pain, but Peterson's teaching is that embracing tragedy makes you stronger. Learning to live with grief, defeat, and disappointment is part of the journey. It's about developing a perspective that is grounded in reality, rather than the superficial success stories that dominate platforms like Instagram or TikTok. The need for hierarchies and competence. Jordan Peterson often discusses the importance of hierarchies in society, whether social, professional, or academic. Most social media self-help content today tends to promote a flat world where everyone can be an equal success story, ignoring the fact that hierarchies are, in many ways, necessary for society and personal growth. Peterson argues that striving for competence within hierarchies, whether it's becoming the best in your field or developing expertise, gives you meaning and purpose. What isn't discussed much, though, is the internal hierarchy of competence Peterson suggests. It's not just about success in the eyes of others, but about measuring your own skills and abilities against a standard. Real development comes when you acknowledge that life is, in many ways, a competitive endeavor, and the best way to navigate this is to strive for excellence in your chosen field, no matter how difficult it may be. The idea that competence within a hierarchy leads to meaning is something we rarely see discussed. On social media, everything is about hacks and shortcuts, but Peterson's message is clear. True success comes from continuous growth and pushing yourself to achieve at a high level. The importance of mentorship and role models. Mentorship is another concept Jordan Peterson doesn't directly preach, but it's woven into many of his teachings. In a world where personal development is often touted as a solo endeavor, Peterson suggests that having a mentor or role model is crucial. We hear about self-made entrepreneurs and the glorification of the individualist success story all the time. What's often overlooked is the immense power of learning from those who've walked the path before you. Peterson himself credits much of his success to mentors, and while he talks about the importance of personal responsibility and self-reliance, he also acknowledges that you cannot always go it alone. His advice, though subtle, stresses the idea that by looking to those who have succeeded, you can shortcut some of the struggles and avoid pitfalls. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can learn from those who've paved the way. In social media culture, we often see influencers promoting self-sufficiency to an extreme, but Peterson's hidden insight is that mentorship isn't a crutch. It's an essential tool for growth. No one truly develops without the guidance and support of others at some point along the way. The unspoken value of failure. We're often told to avoid failure at all costs. Social media is filled with messages about achieving success quickly and avoiding mistakes. But Jordan Peterson brings a more complex perspective to failure. He doesn't just say that failure is part of life, he emphasizes that it's necessary for growth. What's missing in mainstream self-help content is the idea that failure itself is a valuable teacher. Peterson rarely presents failure in a defeatist way, but rather as an opportunity to recalibrate. When you fail, you are confronted with the reality of your limitations, and this forces you to adapt and change. Most social media content oversimplifies success as something that happens after you finally make it. But Peterson argues that the real story lies in what you learn when you fall short. It's not about embracing failure for failure's sake, but about seeing it as a feedback mechanism. Every time you fail, you get a chance to reconfigure your approach, learn more about yourself, and grow stronger. On a deeper level, Peterson's message is that the only true failure comes when you stop learning and quit trying. It's about maintaining your pursuit despite setbacks. Embracing responsibility as freedom. One of Peterson's most powerful and often understated points is the idea that taking on responsibility actually provides freedom. In a world obsessed with independence and autonomy, The counterintuitive idea of freedom through responsibility is rarely discussed. Social media often celebrates the idea of being free from obligations and duties, but Peterson flips this narrative on its head. The idea that taking on responsibility in your personal life, your work, and your relationships gives you more freedom is radical. By committing to the responsibilities you have, whether it's family, career, or self-improvement, you create a framework in which you can thrive. Instead of living in a chaotic, uncontrolled environment, responsibility actually provides structure and purpose, which in turn gives you more freedom to pursue your goals. Many people on social media seek freedom from commitments or responsibilities, believing it will lead to a better life. Peterson, however, presents the idea that freedom lies in having a responsibility to something larger than yourself. It's the freedom to do what's necessary and right, which ultimately leads to a deeper sense of fulfillment. The power of meaning over happiness. In the world of social media self-help content, happiness is often viewed as the ultimate goal. Follow your passion, chase your dreams, do what makes you happy. These are common refrains. However, Peterson challenges this idea with a powerful, often overlooked insight. Happiness is fleeting, and meaning is far more important. Peterson often talks about the importance of pursuing meaning rather than mere happiness. Meaning doesn't always feel good in the moment, but it provides depth and purpose to your life. The idea is that in the long term, meaning will give you a stronger sense of fulfillment than the pursuit of transient happiness. Most social media narratives focus on the happy moments, vacations, celebrations, and luxurious experiences. Peterson, though, suggests that true fulfillment comes when you commit to something deeply meaningful, even if it requires sacrifice and hardship. This is a profound shift in perspective that often gets lost amidst the flashy happiness content found online. The hidden power of small, incremental change. Finally, one of Peterson's most powerful hidden ideas is the emphasis on small, incremental changes. In the fast-paced world of viral self-help tips, there's an obsession with quick transformations and massive overhauls. Peterson doesn't promote such shortcuts. Instead, he speaks to the power of slow, consistent improvements. In his work, he talks about making small adjustments every day, whether it's tidying up your room, setting a goal, or confronting your fears, one step at a time. These tiny acts, compounded over time, lead to remarkable transformation. While others focus on the big change, Peterson's approach is about building lasting habits through small, manageable steps. By avoiding the pressure of instant results, Peterson's teachings empower you to focus on incremental, sustainable progress. It's the quiet power of consistency that drives long-term success, not massive, unsustainable changes. Conclusion. Jordan Peterson's ideas about self-development, while often discussed, are much deeper than what's commonly known. These hidden insights are revolutionary, and by embracing them, you can begin to reshape the way you think about growth, responsibility, and meaning. So next time you come across his teachings, remember, there's always more beneath the surface waiting to be discovered.